Love,
tenderness,
the love of God,
unity,
a symbol of Cuban identity.
the mother of the Cuban people. She is it.
"This is the most beautiful land ever seen by human eyes," wrote Christopher Columbus in his logbook on the 28th of October 1492, on disembarking at Bariai Bay and setting foot on Cuban land for the first time. Nowadays, the Cuban archipelago, made up of the island of Cuba, the Isla de la Juventud, Isle of Youth, and over 4,000 cays and small islets, has around 11 million inhabitants. Ernest Hemingway, the author of well-known works such as The Old Man and the Sea or The Sun Also Rises, received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1954. Hemingway wanted to dedicate this prize to the Cuban people who he loved so much. He decided that the best way to do this was to offer the prize to Our Lady of Charity of El Cobre, as she was the symbol of Cubanía, or Cubanness. Hemingway knew well what he was doing. To tell the story of Cuba of the last 400 years is to tell the story of devotion to Our Lady of Charity of El Cobre. For any Cuban to say Our Lady of Charity is to say nation and motherland. They call her the Mambisa, as she was invoked by the Mambises soldiers during the Wars of Independence. And they call her Cachita, an affectionate diminutive for Caridad, charity. The history of this devotion originates from the northeast of the island, specifically in Nipe Bay, which is currently in the Holguín province. There, 2 Indian brothers and a black boy of 9 or 10 years of age went looking for salt.
Estrella de la mañana, que brilló sobre las aguas, a los 3 de Barajagua, que iban remando con ganas. Su aventura no fue vana, pues la sal que los movía, en sal y amor cambiaría. Al ver en Nipe en el mar aquella imagen flotar de la Caridad María.
En la zona norte de lo que es el actual territorio holguinero.
2 events have taken place in the northern area, which is currently the Holguín province, which make it important, because the port of Bariai, on our coastline, which is where Christopher Columbus entered Cuba in 1492, and a little to the east is Nipe Bay, which is where the statue of Our Lady of Charity was discovered in 1612.
Fue el hallazgo de la imagen de la Virgen de la Caridad.
In 1971, the Cuban historian Levi Marrero discovered the oldest document to pay testament to this discovery in the Spanish archive of the Indies. The account given years later by the king's slave Juan Moreno, one of the protagonists of the event. A copy of that document is kept in the Archbishopric of Santiago de Cuba.
Este es el legajo
This is the file which contains the documents regarding the parish church and the El Cobre shrine. One of them is very important. It is a copy of a document which details the sworn statements taken almost 80 years after the appearance of the Virgin in Nipe. These statements include the main interview of the black slave Juan Moreno when he was an elderly man, where he tells the story of what happened to them and what they discovered during that period when he was still a child.
La historia dice que después de traerla
The story goes that after bringing her to the Barajagua cattle ranch, a temple was built for her, and she remained there for 2 years. After 2 years, it was decided to take her to the mines of El Cobre, and it was therefore here, in this area, where the devotion and presence of the statue took root among us. Perhaps because I'm the Bishop of Holguin, my reading of the discovery is sentimental and spiritual, because when one reads the Gospel according to St. John at the cross, he says to him, "Woman, behold thy son. Son, behold thy mother." The Gospel says, "And the disciple took her into his home." Then when those 3 salters see that small statue, and Juan Moreno takes it from the sea and puts it in the boat and brings it home, that home is Cuba.
traerla a esa casa que es Cuba.
If you follow the slave route, which was the name also given to the royal road which connects Barajagua to Santiago de Cuba, you arrive at the royal mining village of Santiago del Prado, which is commonly known as the village of El Cobre, copper, as this is the material which was extracted from the mines located there. The town is 4 leagues from Santiago de Cuba, and as early as the 17th century, several hundred slaves, Hispanic and indigenous people, were concentrated there.
Ya estaban aquí los indios de siempre.
The Indians were already here, as were the slaves. And those 2 Indians and a young slave found the Virgin there. And so that no one is left out, the governor of the mine who decided to bring her here was a Spaniard. And I said, what a coincidence. It was when the 3 ethnic groups which shaped our nation were present that the Virgin arrived.
Configurado nuestra nacionalidad fue que vino la Virgen.
The devotion of the 3 ethnic groups to the statue has meant that Our Lady of Charity of El Cobre has always been venerated by all of the island's inhabitants, making her a symbol of Cubanía.
Bueno, cubanía es todo aquello que permite identificar
Cubanía is everything that makes it possible to identify a person from this land. Cubaness is linked to the formation process of that identity over the centuries, starting with the arrival of the Hispanic Castilian colonists and continuing with the mixing or the cultural and ethnic miscegenation process between the indigenous people and the Africans. The word Cuban encompasses all of those self-defining mixtures which originate from Africa and the indigenous people alike, and where there is a prevailing Hispanic cultural element resulting from their conquest of this land. That is what we can call Cubanía.
While a shrine was being built to venerate it, the statue was being kept in the chapel of the hospital for slaves on the Mine Hill. It was those same royal slaves who, together with the other residents of Santiago del Prado, constructed the first temple at the end of the 17th century. However, the shrine and the hostel collapsed in 1906 as a result of the heavy mining activities below the building, which were carried out by the American company, the Cobre Mines. The statue had to be moved to the village's parish church until 1927, when the Archbishop Monsignor Subisarreta consecrated the new shrine, which was constructed using donations from all around the island.